ESL to Go. From Vision to Reality. Thanks to the support of the Memorial Foundation, the Martin Foundation, the Frist Foundation, Tennessee Office for Refugees, Dollar General Literacy Foundation, Joe C. Davis Foundation.
A group of people in Nashville are hoping a classroom on wheels can offer thousands the chance to make a better life for themselves. Members of the Tennessee Foreign Language Institute are working to make Nashville's first ESL mobile classroom a reality. It would be called ESL to Go. Basically, a bus would be traveling around to apartment complexes all over Nashville with a high population of refugees. Refugees who fled their countries for fear of persecution say their biggest barrier standing between them and learning English is transportation.
That's when I had the idea to bring the English classes to them in the mobile classroom, to develop a traditional classroom on wheels.
It's so essential to the success of refugees when they first come to Nashville to learn English, and a lot of them just aren't able to get to English classes. So we think that this program really is going to enable so many new refugees to be able to become self-sufficient through increased English proficiency.
There's a picture of the ESL truck to go. The ESL project team says they have to raise about $25,000 to make ESL to go a reality. If you'd like to donate, just head to our website. That's WSMV.com. You'll have all the information there.
All right, so here's what I want to talk about today.
What do Ellen DeGeneres, Civil War in Burma, and Vanderbilt's Peabody College all have in common? Angie Harris. Her mission? Help Nashville's refugees learn English.
Where do you live?
Where do you live?
When I see a refugee who has never been able to write her name before, that to me is a really powerful experience.
And emotional.
Hold on a sec.
You see, Angie Harris, a Peabody alumna, has always loved to help.
I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Papua New Guinea, and I worked in South Korea. My last stint was in Kathmandu, Nepal.
I live in an apartment.
This English class is based on the program that we had in Nepal.
My family and I live in the suburbs. Suburbs.
For these Burmese refugees, the first order of business is survival, and the key to survival is learning English.
So we are here teaching English to them so that they are able to communicate with their community, so that they're able to become self-sufficient more quickly.
Angie and her team at the Tennessee Foreign Language Institute transformed this modest living room in South Nashville into a full-time classroom.
Good.
All of the women in this class are women who have children and who do not have transportation to get to English classes.
These are stairs.
Today's lesson, identifying rooms in the apartment.
Where's Mary? Mary's in the grass.
Simnin Kabu arrived 2 years ago with literally nothing but the clothes on her back. Unable to speak or read English, she felt completely lost.
Yeah, and then no friend, no work, no job, so she's very depressed at the time.
Bedroom.
Learning English made all the difference.
She's so happy because she can communicate to other people. It changed her life very much.
Kabu joins a growing population of people fleeing religious and ethnic persecution in their home country. This mother told us her village was overrun by soldiers and her husband killed.
They abused her, and finally she decided to run away with her daughter.
You're such a good mother.
Yeah.
You're so strong. I strive to be like them because they are some of the bravest people I've ever known.
There are dozens of ESL classes scattered across Nashville, but for some, attendance is poor. Angie Harris discovered why.
What I kept hearing from people was that it's transportation. My students can't get to class. My students don't understand how to use the bus system.
If transportation was the problem, Angie Harris had a solution.
That if the students can't get to the English classes, why don't we take the English classes to them? And that's when I had the idea of the mobile classroom, a classroom on wheels.
For a year, the 24-foot teaching truck was parked on paper.
It was $150,000.
To get the idea rolling, fundraising and generous donations were required.
Fortunately, we have reached our goal.
March 2013, Angie Harris's dream will finally have wheels.
It's a classroom in the back of the truck that we could drive to the apartment complexes, and students could simply walk out of their apartments and study English.
I might just do a few where I get some natural light.
Angie Harris's big idea is drawing lots of attention. To this group, she's become a celebrity. Or maybe she already is one. Take a look.
They see Ellen DeGeneres on TV, and it's not the first time I've been told that I look like her or that she looks like me.
The two women, who have never met, share more than just good looks. They're both known for their empathy. They can relate.
There's some similarities between me being lesbian and refugees and immigrants because we are not considered mainstream Americans. And that's probably one of the reasons I have committed my life to helping refugees. I want them to respect themselves, and I want others to respect them just for who they are.
Man, that feels good to do that. That feels so good to help.
So, what do Ellen DeGeneres, Civil War in Burma, and Vanderbilt's Peabody College all have in common? Angie Harris, the dreamer.
I hope that when we get the truck, we can introduce the refugees to all of the donors and that they can all meet each other face to face. And that would be a dream come true for me.
We'll keep you posted.
Like many American cities, Nashville is a car town. It was built to accommodate drivers in their vehicles, not foot traffic or bicycles.
And you would say, my father.
My father, yeah.
That can make it difficult for the more than 1,200 refugees settled in Nashville each year. Many speak little or no English and can't drive. These students have a good grasp of English and a way to get to language class. They travel to the Tennessee Foreign Language Institute by car for English as a second language or ESL instruction. But that's not an option for many refugees who find lodging in this large apartment complex. It's located 20 kilometers from the Institute's classrooms on the opposite side of Nashville. So the Foreign Language Institute decided that if its ESL students couldn't get to the classroom, they would bring the ESL classroom to the students. It's a school on wheels called ESL to Go. It travels around the city, visiting communities where immigrants and refugees tend to congregate.
In this class on Tuesday?
Ashley Eckers is the curriculum coordinator for ESL to Go.
A lot of times they just couldn't get to the classes. It was too far for them to walk. They were unfamiliar with the bus systems. It was just a kind of a unnecessary barrier that a lot of them couldn't get over.
Lulu Income came to the U.S. from Burma nearly 4 years ago. She was among those who encouraged the Foreign Language Institute to figure out a way to bring ESL classes into the community.
They want to go to the ES class, but especially in the winter season, they are also walking. For our people, they don't need to go to travel. The truck is really helpful to our community.
ESL to Go, which hit the road in May, has a waiting list. Children in Nashville get ESL instruction in school, so all the Institute students are adults. Ashley Eckers says students in their 70s have taken the classes.
I would be very hesitant to attempt to learn a language probably at that age, but they just believe that they can and they want the skills. They're very eager to learn.
Eckers says the refugees she's worked with want to be independent and self-sufficient and see learning English as the key to that success. For VOA News, I'm Mike Osborne in Nashville, Tennessee.
Next Door Neighbors is made possible by the support of the Nissan Foundation and by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Twee Rocco isn't your run-of-the-mill truck driver. Instead of driving heavy loads across the country, her mission is to lighten the load for refugees who want to learn English by bringing the classroom to them. The English as a Second Language, or ESL to-go truck, is a service of the Tennessee Foreign Language Institute.
We identified what need existed in the community, and we saw that a lot of refugees, they wanted to attend ESL classes, but they weren't able to do so because they didn't have the transportation to get to and from community centers where English classes were being offered at the time. So what we decided to do was, why don't we bring the English classes to the refugees at the apartments where they live? And the way that we thought would be most effective to do this would be to develop this concept of a mobile classroom. I am responsible for deciding where it is that the truck travels to. I'm in contact with a lot of community leaders from different refugee groups. They can contact me directly and say, hey, there's a large population of Bhutanese refugees in this area who really want to be taking English classes, but those services aren't available to them.
Once the truck is parked, Twee sets up the classroom and steps into her primary role as one of the ESL to-go instructors, a job for which she is particularly well suited due to a life path shared with many of her students.
My family and I are from Vietnam, and we were part of the boat people that came as refugees from the Vietnam War. Once the war ended, in order to leave Vietnam, you had to escape. And you had to sneak on these small fishing boats, and we have about 150 people at times, and a lot of times those ships sink. So my real dad, my 3 brothers, and my sister went first because my mom was pregnant with me, and their boat sank. So my mom lost everything. She had nothing left, so she said, I'm gonna try again. My mom tried 6 times not being successful leaving Vietnam. Each time she was put in jail when she was caught. So the 7th time she successfully made it to the refugee camp in Thailand.
Once in the U.S., Twee's mother married a fellow refugee. The young girl suddenly had a new father, brother, and a lot of responsibility.
My parents didn't speak the language. We didn't have any money. We really had nothing. So I picked up English very quickly. So I was the interpreter at a very young age. At 7, I started reading over insurance documents. At school, I would be at the parent and teacher conference at 8 or 9 years old. So growing up, I wasn't quite a child. I was more like an adult.
In spite of, or perhaps because of her challenging childhood, Twee was determined to be a success and destined to be an inspiration.
I was the first to go to college. I got a scholarship and went to college, went to grad school. Now I organize a lot of the English classes for the Tennessee Foreign Language Institute. I also teach some of the classes, and I train teachers to teach. So wherever there's the desire to learn, we want to be there and have a good certified teacher and use the methods and techniques that would help students learn English effectively, which I didn't get as a child. And that program has just been developed in the last couple of years, so it's pretty amazing.
The response to the ESL to Go program has also been amazing.
Hi, Trey.
Hi, how are you?
Lazy. You're lazy. Okay, I'm going to ask you.
We've been incredibly overwhelmed by the demand for classes. Because the truck is so visible, I think that we've attracted so many more students than we otherwise would have been able to reach out to and attract. When they see this truck drive into their apartment complex, they think, what is that? So they come to the truck, they're very curious, And then they find out it's English classes and they ask how they can register. On our first night of testing and registration at our first site, we had over 40 eligible students come out.
While lack of transportation is a major obstacle for many refugees, overcoming deeply ingrained cultural stigmas can be equally challenging.
In our country, we don't want to speak in front of people a lot because of our mindset. We oppressed so many times, so many decades, so we just not lift up our head. So it's come to be worried, to scare, and not to talk to the people.
But once in the classroom, Jaring and her classmates quickly acclimatized to the learning environment.
I saw that they are really patient when they are teaching to the students. They really happy, and with their hearts they teach to the students. And step by step, they teach them what they really need, how to speak in the store, how to ask someone if you don't know something.
We also do a lot of outreach with our program, so we take a holistic approach to education. We think teaching refugees English is a really important part of them becoming self-sufficient in Tennessee, but we also realize that there are a lot of other components to that. So we've had financial literacy workshops on the truck. We've had social service outreach programs on the truck. So we really try to serve our clients in a variety of ways.
When you come here, you think that you're alone. You're not. You have a neighbor that might give you food and clothes. You have an organization that gives you education. The language is hard. The culture is different. It's not your home, but it will become your home. And the language can be learned, and we can help each other. And I think if you rely on yourself, your family, friends, you can do anything. And you look at all the refugees that came here before the Vietnamese, now the Burmese, and all of them are successful in one way or the other. And that's what's amazing. You start from nothing and you become something great.
I really encourage buying tree. That it's almost the same. I understand the situation, and when I see her, she's really brave and she's speaking like Americans. It's really made me encouraged to help my people. I don't go to the American school to be a teacher, but I might teach someday. If I know enough to help my people, I will teach for them.
Actually, I have a 12-year-old that attends the class. I look at her and I was like, that's me. You know, she learned English within a year. She's interpreting for her mom. She comes into the classroom, helps other students, translate documents. I could see in her eyes the same responsibilities that I had. So I see her and I see myself. And I see the Burmese people just like I see the Vietnamese people. We're on the same journey. It's pretty amazing how we got here.
The Tennessee Foreign Language Institute and the ESL To Go program are very much about filling the needs in the community. We're not out here to duplicate services. We're not out here to compete with what already exists. When we first had the idea for the truck, everyone said, oh, who has time for that? It's so much work. You have to write the grants. You have to get the support. It's a long timeline. It took a year and a half of work before we had the truck. But I think that hard work really pays off and it's worth it. So I think that the staff at TFLI and ESL To Go really subscribes to that philosophy that hard work pays off.
Next Door Neighbors is made possible by the support of the Nissan Foundation and by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting